Hello. Thanks so much for dropping in. I have been testing a disk drive and telling stories, and I think I will continue to do the same. Because I'm a little baffled by this disk drive, and of course there's always more stories to tell. Oh, yes! So, as you may have known from following along here, this disk drive has been giving me some level of grief. It's funny, I looked over here, and I saw this drive, which, oh yeah, I seem to remember this. I think it's squirrely, so I'm not going to try and confuse myself further. Sorry, but I need to oil this chair. Okay, I'm going to reach under here. I'm going to pull out a disk drive. Oh, mother. It's heavy. Oh, it's an original. Works. Supposedly I tested it in November of 2021. So, here is what I will do. I will turn this off. I will pull the plugs out. I will pull the plugs. This might take two hands. Okay. Alright. And if you notice, this is it's not a 1540, well, it is a 1541. It's white, and it says Vic-20 and the case has obvious issues. But of course, if you have disk drives piled on top of another, or each other, can you really see? It also has a little bit of a funny LED. It is white, and I don't know why that happened. But anyway, things happen. So, as I reach behind, trying to find... Hello, that's not going in. Where is it in? Now it's in. Okay, I'll turn this disk drive on. And I'm going to... because this is harder to see, I'm going to do what I have been doing. I will change, oh, if I could just type, the background color to black, the screen color to black, the cursor color to white. And that should be easier to see. So, what am I trying to do? Well, I have this disk, and I've used it many times. And, anyway, this disk drive is failing, and I'm not sure why. Because I think it was fine before. If I look, I think I wrote it on here. Works! Yeah, tested happy, December 2021. Anyway, not so happy now. Anyway, enough. I'm going to let this other drive sort of test and see what's what. And it's possible, so not at all likely that I have a disk that's bad. Not likely at all. But you never know, you know. And of course, the performance test, it tells me the unit is failing twice because things are going wonky and weird, but then it says it's passed. And it does seem to work. Anyway. So, let's see. I was telling a story about high school before, and see, when I was in high school, that's when I first saw a Commodore PET. And I remember the room, I don't remember the room number, but I remember where it was in the high school. It was on the first floor, one of the corner rooms that were kind of, they had two big double doors, and then the room kind of went off over here, so it was a big sort of room, and the school was built in 1930, I believe it was, so, you know, it would now be coming up on 100 years old. Anyway, and things were built differently then. I remember the windows. The windows were like doors, if you really, really, really felt like it. And this was, of course, dangerous for the upper floors. you could open the window, which, of course, there was no air conditioning, so having the windows that they could open was good. You know, there was the radiator and other stuff, so it wasn't like it was at floor level. But anyway, I remember I saw a pet computer, and of course, there did I see somebody diligently programming away, or trying to figure out something critical for their education in their class? Well, not exactly. They were playing Space Invaders. And I thought, Space Invaders. That looks cool. Now, at the time, of course, I didn't, you know, I mean, the graphics on the PET were not as good as in the game Space Invaders, but they were still mighty fine. And the game was mighty playable and mighty good. So anyway, I was intrigued, and that is how things got started. There were many games back then that I remember trying out and playing, and I really wasn't much into games, but well, that worked. But it's funny, I did hear a funny little extra noise at the end. Like it didn't, it was weird. Alright, I'm going to set that disc aside. And I'm just going to check this disc, because I'm pretty sure this too is a blank disc. It is a blank disc, which I have used to test things before. So, there's the cursor. I will load, and I can't just put in P asterisk because there's a printer thing on here. So I'm going to just load perf and then an asterisk, because that is the name of the performance test for the 1541. And it does seem to be having, it had a little issue there. Anyway, the program is in. This other disc will go in. And we will run. Anyway, another game that I found, and it's funny, you know, people say, oh, games bad, games bad. Gotta keep people away from games. There were a lot of things that we learned from games that, I mean, you really had to think about. The one that I think about at this moment that I remember was, and now the name of it escapes me. And of course, it was vaguely kind of warlike, which, oh my god, war games, oh no! They'll be killing each other in the streets. This was one where two people would play, I think it was called Artillery. And there would be, the thing would come up and you would be over here, your opponent would be over here, and there would be a hill in the way. And then you had to figure out what angle and how many bags of powder to use to try and hit your opponent. And invariably, you would not get it right the first time. The mountain or the hill was always a little bit different, and the positioning of both of you was always a little bit different. So you could kind of start off with an idea in your head about what you might try, but ultimately it wouldn't work. And then you could, of course, refine based on what you saw. And of course, the graphics were just, you know, the Petsky things. And you would have to try and figure out how to do this quicker than your opponent. Or your little X or whatever on the screen would get hit by their artillery. But see, I always have maintained the best lessons learned are the lessons that you don't even know that you're learning something. And that, as well as many games, was the case. There were many, 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 many things, and many, many little brain teasers that were interesting and fun. And there wasn't somebody standing over you saying, you must do this, you must do this. Here's some self-explanatory dittos, do some math. There was motivation. And it was interesting, and it was fun, and it was intriguing. And there should be more. I've heard of things where they say they were going to have more play-based learning. Anyway, I think as much as possible, lessons should be, I guess it worked okay. Lessons should be learned as often as possible in some sort of entertaining way. Reminds me of a demonstration I saw showing how basically every sort of, I guess it was based on brass instruments, basically such instruments are nothing more than a tube of, and to get different notes, the tube is made to be different lengths. And this fellow, who was a music teacher, did this magical thing where he went through all these different things, a piece of hose and other such, and he could play it. Of course, he couldn't change the note so well on most of it, but there are many things that you don't need to. But then at the end, he actually took and he put a mouthpiece and a funnel onto a metal music stand, which of course the music stand is adjustable, and he played the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow as he was accompanied by a student on a piano and a fellow teacher on a bass. And the beautiful thing about that was, it was a great lesson, but it wasn't presented as a great lesson. It was actually during the teacher talent show. So everybody learned a whole lot through the fun, the laughter, the joy, and the surprise of, when he started affixing all this stuff to this shiny metal music stand, and then holding it out in front of him, and pulling it back and forth, and playing it. It was magic. Anyway, so, this drive is working, and it is fine, and it is dandy. This one is the one with the issues. It is. What I think I really want to try, and I'm sure as I can be, it's this mechanism that has the issues. And of course, I will clean the head, and it won't make any difference, but I will do it anyway. But I would like to try another drive mechanism attached to this to just see, just ruling out the possibility that something on the circuit board is weird. Because really, the 1541 basically has very few parts. I mean, there's lots of stuff up here, but it basically comes down to, it has the case, which of course very rarely causes any trouble. It has the power supply, which I don't believe I've ever seen a 1541 power supply fail. I could be wrong, but I don't remember it. And I'm sure somebody out there will say, I've had one fail. I'm the one. So that's cool. Anyway, and then it comes down to the drive mechanism and the circuit board. And that's really what we have here. So if this disk drive mechanism is failing and is bad, is it likely that something up here is doing it? No. But I just got to make sure. So, I will think about this. And I think the first thing I will do is I'm going to go get some Q-tips, and I'm going to clean the head on this drive. And I think what I will try and do is set up really close so that you can see what I do. I think I shall. But it makes no sense that it's the head. But it's just one of those things you just gotta do. So, thanks so much for coming. Stay tuned. Many more experiments and stories to come, and especially the latest thing I've been tinkering on is Rudy from Rudy's Retro Intel has been creating various circuits to allow composite video to be seen on a regular monitor. And it's not been perfect, but it's coming along, and he just sent me a new shipment. Mostly he had to send that because I tried to hook the interface up to my big screen TV, and somehow I think it blew both the chips. Anyway, I'm not sure what happened there. But, you know, that is part of the joy of working with prototypes and learning and experimenting and passing on my findings to him. And so that will continue. So, thank you for coming. Stay tuned. Many more videos to come, and if you haven't checked out the more than 1,100 more of the videos I've already made, they're out there, and they're, as best as I can, I've numbered them accurately, I think, and I will continue to do so. I'm also starting to tinker with an intro sequence and such, and who knows, you might have already seen it on one of these videos. I will refine this as time goes on. I shall. Anyway, oh, also, the program I use to edit, people always say, you're not talking loud enough, you're not talking loud enough. I try and talk loud. I do. I don't have a microphone that is over here, which I should try and figure out, and I will try and figure out. But the editing program that I use, and sometimes I don't use it, I just upload directly, it does apparently give me a chance to increase the volume. So when I am editing, I do always do that. But if you can't hear me very well, pump up the volume, pump up the volume. Anyway, enough. Thanks so much for coming. Bye for now.